I'm Karen Martucci, Employer Relations Manager with Robinson. I'm here to talk to you about the STAR method, which is a strategy for preparing for job interviews to make sure that you show up as your best possible self. You'll do that by writing and then delivering STAR stories about yourself. The reason you're going to do this in advance is because you are going to go through and catalog in your mind those bullet points of yours that you know are most impressive, that show the greatest things about you. You're also going to talk about experiences on your resume or elsewhere that demonstrate to the employer you've got the skills and the experience and the personal qualifications to do the job that they've got open. In order to do this, you're going to have to spend a little time with the job description that you're applying for and your own resume. We'll do that with an example student so that you can have a greater understanding of just what goes into a good STAR story. So for the case of this illustration, we'll select a marketing student, somebody that perhaps has a few years experience in one area but is pivoting to marketing. So she doesn't yet have a whole lot of marketing experience. However, she is applying for a professional marketing position. So with that in mind, she's going to look back over her resume and pull out those things in her past that most relate to the kinds of skills and experiences and attributes that this employer is looking for. She's going to do that so that she's able to compose and then later deliver in a natural way through practicing some concise, powerful stories about her own attributes, abilities, and accomplishments. Whenever you're going into a job interview, you've got to realize that your job is to make it easy for the employer to see how good a fit you are for this position. Remember, not everybody who interviews you will have had the opportunity to review your resume closely. They may have only seen it for a few minutes. They may be part of a committee of people to whom the resume was just distributed before the interview. So you want to make sure that even if they don't know enough about you to ask you really good, poignant questions that let you highlight all the great things you have to offer, that you're prepared to bring up those things and tell them about them at the appropriate moments when you're asked questions or when you're asked to tell them certain things about yourself. These stories are your opportunity to shine. So you don't want to be making them up on the fly during the interview. You want them thought out in advance, edited to the point that you know they're concise but powerful stories, and you want to practice them enough, either by recording yourself or sharing with a friend or family member and asking them for some feedback. But you want to do this enough so that not only do you know and remember your own STAR stories, but you're ready to bring those words to the front of your brain when you're in the interview and under pressure. So let's talk about what goes into a STAR story, right? STAR is an acronym. The first letter is situation. Anytime you're describing something to this employer that you're trying to use as an example, an illustration of these great skills and talents and experiences that you have, you need to let them know what the situation was. For the case of illustration today, we're going to use a marketing student. So when she gets her opportunity to go interview for this marketing position, she needs to first tell this employer what she has done that relates to this role. So let's just say, for example, they say, I'm looking at your resume and I see you really don't have a lot of experience in marketing, but that you're currently in a graduate program and you've been doing some projects in your classes. Tell me about one of those and how it relates to this position. So the student in this case trying to describe the situation might say, well, recently I was a part of a group in my organizational behavior class and we were given an assignment to do a public relations campaign for a fictitious company. That's the situation. And in fact, it's kind of bordering in on the task as well, because the task was to design a public relations campaign for a company. So task is a little more specific about what specific things you did to help with this situation. So here, our marketing student describes that we chose to market a bank that was opening a new office in a small town. Okay? It's concise. We understood what was going on and what they needed to do. They had to come up with a marketing plan and a media kit that was designed to introduce the company to its new community and solicit new bank customers. Okay, so the A stands for action. Now here is where your STAR story gets exciting. Here is where you explain to the employer what you did in enough detail that they understand the steps that you took and all of the things that you were able to accomplish in doing this task. So, example for our marketing student, quickly you can read that for yourself, but as a project team leader, the red parts are the important important parts. Now you can see here the action steps are far more detailed and emphasize the kinds of things that show this person has some experience with the types of things that someone in marketing might need to do. This is where, as you think about your own star stories, your own bullet points, your own experiences that you want to make sure you communicate clearly and in a compelling way to the employer, you really spend some time editing these very short sentences. And then finally, the R is the result. And here for our marketing student, the project allowed her to develop management skills to lead a diverse group. The group received the highest mark in the class, and she's bragging in a nice way that she's proud to say the professor uses the project materials as an example of good work to the class. So, to recap then, you want to make sure when you're creating your own star stories, you're being specific and concise about situation, task, action, and result. What you actually did, what you actually accomplished. And you're using as many words and phrases and activities as you can that were listed in the job description so that you're showing you've got those things. You want to be positive and focus on your accomplishments. Don't be afraid to brag about yourself a little bit. This is the time to be proud and to speak confidently. And then by all means, once you write out your star stories, 3 to 5 sentences each, edit them carefully. You want to practice them. Once you've written them and spent the time and effort to analyze these and write them in ways that other people can appreciate, you're going to find that they come back to your mind much more clearly in an interview situation because you know you've already identified all the things you want to talk about and you know the words you want to use to explain it. They don't have to be memorized, but you need to have the main points that you want to cover in each of those things so that you can be a star in your own star story.